And we are back, and we are back. Thank you all for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. You know that helps us out. And by helping us, you help yourself because you help us bring you this content. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to follow up on what we talked about yesterday with Lil D, Quindarrius Zachary, being arrested as he left the hospital. If you remember, we brought you that news yesterday, and it actually broke on Friday night. This whole episode gives the sense that Miss Love really needs Quindarrius Zachary. And you might ask yourself, like, why does she need him so bad? Like, that she would go get him coming out of the hospital. And I want to just call your memory to a few things. This trial went on break in mid-June. It came back more or less mid-August. So this trial was on break for 2 months. Now, if you're a juror, right, that's enough time for you to start getting back into your regular routine. They say that it takes 30 to 60 days to make a habit. So you have 60 days practically where you're getting back into your old routine. You're probably going back to work. You're back with your family every day. You're back. It's summertime. You may even be having fun. And now you're going to be ripped out of your life and brought back to this trial. Now think about this. Everything that happened up until June 10th, June 11th, 12th, whatever day was the last day of trial, mid-June, all of that is kind of maybe fading away. It's going to be a little bit of a distant memory, right? And now you're coming back in mid-August, and all of this stuff is going to be fresh. And what has happened since mid-August? You have Woody, who's come to the stand, who says he can't recall and that he lied. You have Mook Tunk, who comes to the stand and say that he was not in agreement with his plea deal. You have Mook Tunk's lawyer, who comes to the stand, who says that Miss Love may have done some shenanigans with the plea deal. You have a car guy who is not even an expert come to the stand and cannot identify the car used in the crime. And you have a lady who comes to the stand who was shot. And a lot of people, not I, but a lot of people criticized her because she was saying how she was drinking heavily, apparently, right before. Again, I don't think that's a fair criticism, but you do have to wonder how that would weigh on the jury. So nothing's going well for the prosecution. Even Judge Whitaker told DA Love, like, hey, bringing that lawyer up on the stand did not go well for you. So now Love she's trying to get her case together. Lil D has talked a lot on tape about different things that have happened, and she likely feels that she needs him urgently to come in and to fill in some of the blanks with testimony. And if she can't get him to testify, then of course they'll do the tactic where they introduce his prior statements as evidence. So that is why DA Love needs Lil D so bad. So yesterday, Black law student on X did a Spaces with Taylor Umbridge and the sister of Quindarrius Zachary. And we're going to bring you some clips from that. And we also want to give a shout out to Black law student doing a great job over there on X, as well as Taylor Umbridge, who's doing an excellent job on TikTok. So we're going to put a link to both of their pages down in the description. You're going to see some of the information that we brought yesterday, but we're going to put it in a new context with what was said yesterday. And also at the end of this video, we're going to go to the Mook Tunk testimony about Quindarrius Zachary, and Demikion Garlington, which is the other Lil D. That's the Lil D that Woody birthed, about when they did a drive-by shooting. So we're going to try to bring all this in context with Mook Tunk. So without further ado, again, thank you for watching. Please hit that like. Don't forget to comment and subscribe as well. And let's get into it.
Do you have the next witness available tomorrow as well?
We are attempting to secure a person who's not trying to be secured, but who is under subpoena.
Okay.
About it, I don't think that at this point we can actually say, hey, this is all the stuff that we're going to talk about. We do know that it's going to encapsulate that area, that span of time that we listed for the defense in the court on that sheet.
Well, Your Honor,
Yes.
Let me say this. I'm seeing these 4/28/15 shootings. Um, I'm seeing on the state's list here, they're saying committed by Demekion Garlington, Antonio Sledge, Quindarrius Zachary, and Shannon Stillwell. There is no evidence other than Mr. Zachary in his proffer trying to get better sentence saying that Mr. Stillwell was there. There's absolutely no evidence, no phone records, no other witnesses, no ballistics that link to Mr. Stillwell. There is nothing that puts Mr. Stillwell in that case. My concern, and he wasn't charged either.
Okay.
What I don't want is, I don't know what Mr. Zachary, where he is, if we're going to hear from him, if we're not. But what I am going to have a motion if somehow Mr. Stillwell, through investigator Dennis or some other witness that has no firsthand knowledge of anything, starts trying to bring my client into the 4/28/2015 shootings. And from the discovery, the only person that says that is Mr. Zachary when he was, trying to get himself out of trouble. And if Mr. Zachary says that, I will deal with that on cross-examination. But until Mr. Zachary says that, Investigator Dennis should not have anything to say about that.
Not for the last 2 weeks. But I say, I've been telling her why she don't just tell them he pleading the fifth. She pulling up all this. Say, what are you gonna do when else? Baby, you know what this man finna do when he on the stand. He done told you. Why you sitting up that line? She just looking him straight in the face like she ain't talked to him or like she ain't had no communication with him. He missing the action. He told her, I've been in the hospital. When you get the court date ready, you let me know or reach out.
Yeah, but remember, it's an open subpoena because the trial is still going on.
This is what I'm telling you. They called the lawyer, they called him, they've been calling everybody to give him the new subpoena. But when we tried to get it or whatever, we couldn't never get in. They could never get in touch with it. He done changed his number, so they never gave him the new subpoena. They called his lawyer, and his lawyer told him, I'm not retained, so I can't get him the subpoena. They called the doctor. The doctor told him he can't get into it. They called the mom. She told him that they called me, and he wouldn't call me. Then they called a lawyer back. He tried to click me on the three-way. They hung up. We heard both lines click. He said, "Why are they running from you?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe they just want to talk." See, because I had already told them whatever day the subpoena is, that's the day we'll be in court. We're not coming to lay around and talk to y'all and play with y'all. Whatever day you subpoena for, we'll be there from that day and forth. But they never gave us.
Yeah, that's what they say. So basically, they did serve him a subpoena for 2023. It's around November, but it had expired because it was with Judge Glanville. So he had been letting them know that, hey, I'm in and out the hospital. My health is a real issue with me. And he been letting them know what's going on. But yesterday was over the top. They went to the girlfriend job. She works on an army base. They're handcuffing her, going to her house, destroying it, looking for him. And the only thing they had to do was just ask her where he was at. And he let them know, basically, hey, I'm in the hospital. I discharged myself for you guys. You can come get me. But they still did it in the most distraught way, ever. They really just did it in the wrong way. So this night, she didn't serve subpoena. So this was what is the warrant coming from? He don't have a warrant because he haven't did nothing to get a warrant, or he haven't been served to get a warrant. I see if he had a subpoena and he had a court date and he didn't come, then he missed the court date and then you get your warrant. But none of that ever happened for him. Yeah, because I don't know, Miss Love probably just threw something at her Yeah, we be trying to do it. We've been doing this, doing that. You know, she's right now. We see that she changed her own paperwork on real lawyers, so she sneaks stuff in, and we don't know nothing about that.
Can bargain us with, we have no interest in this case whatsoever. We feel sorry for everything what happened to everybody, but every time like my son gets sick a lot, they know that. They call him Sick D anyway. They been calling him Sick D. And then y'all gonna wait at the hospital on him? That was real clever, but they really kidnapped him because he don't have nothing. The subpoena had expired. We was waiting on a new one. We couldn't get a new one. I don't know what to say.
Do you recall who all was at the shows that he performed at every day before March 26, 2015?
No, I don't recall that.
After you got sent home, did you make any effort to follow what was going on as he toured?
No.
So when you got home, did you just kind of blank out and not listen to or anything?
I enjoyed myself with my family.
Okay. Did you speak with or talk to or communicate with Defendant Williams or any other member of YSL who might have been touring with him?
No, because I was trying to get family time in, so I didn't call and see what Mr. Williams had going on. I was more focused on my kids.
When you got sent home, would you tell the jury how it was that you were sent home, like by bus, train, plane, car?
I don't even think he sent me home. I requested that I was ready to go home, but I went by plane.
Oh, okay. Did you, did that request have anything to do with your family? What happened?
No, I was just ready to get home and see my kids at the time.
Fair enough. Did anybody else leave at the same time you did on, was it March 26, 2015?
I don't recall who all left at certain time because everybody didn't leave and go the same way they kept on the plane.
Okay. Was Defendant Stillwell still with Mr. Williams on this rodeo tour of Travis Scott's when you left? Do you remember?
I don't recall if Mr. Williams and Mr. Steele went home or he stayed on tour. I don't recall.
All right. Do you have any memory about Mr. Kendrick and how long he stayed?
No, I believe Mr. Kendrick stayed the whole while. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Kendrick was like a backup hype man or something at the time.
Was a backup hype man?
He was on stage with him performing.
Okay. Was Mr. Copeland with him? Do you know?
No, I don't remember Mr. Copeland.
What about Mr. Zachary?
I think Mr. Zachary had got sick. He went home way before.
He does have sickle cell. So he been in the hospital for the last few months, but like for the last few months, he been back and forth.
She made it seem like it was nothing wrong with him when she talked.
No, she knew this. She knew this.
Yes, and that's gonna be hard. And how long we've been dealing with these people? It's like he needs an attorney because just going in there and talking to Miss Love and their team, they don't come to play fair. Yes, and Miss Love is showing right now that she'll do anything just to get one thing indicted. Like she'll just do anything right now just for one guilty plea, and she don't care what she do. See, it's just like a double jeopardy. You went and do your time. Now you sign the paper, did your time. You come back. You've been out for a couple of years. Now they want to put that back in your face again, and you're trying to move on with your life. Cause it gotta be some type of law. It gotta be because they're like, oh, it's the law of this. And let me bring this up, and I just watched it the whole time. Like, come on now, if this is what our law system is. Like, this, I don't want to be in America no more.
Wow.
And you know how long it takes. Like Judge Whitaker, I done seen her be so hard on the defense when they finally get to do their cross. She be so hard on them. How long it's gonna take you? But Miss Love and Miss Hilton take days for just to ask a question. So when they got the witness on the stand, they take days. And so it's like you're gonna trying to take so long with him on that stand that it's gonna really break him down. And then you're gonna make him look like he's not being cooperative or however it goes, and it's just not fair. And I see that like she's the one that making all the big plays at the top. She wanted so bad, she making all the plays, and she done been around all these guys before when she was the prosecutor. and was actually was on their side. So now it's like, hey, I know them. I know their weaknesses and I know their strength. So
When she was there, when she was the defense attorney.
Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and play with them one more time. Yeah. And I hate about them. They know that you're in jail. Hey, they put all y'all folks together. They saying y'all people together. Y'all from the same neighborhood. Even though half of them never seen each other before or know, they was like when they first got on Rico, who was that? How the hell he get on this case? Like, where he come from? So it's like, just because they come from the same neighborhood and somebody might say one name, that don't mean the other person know that person. So when she asked somebody like, how do you know this person? Shit, I heard him run away. I never been in a room. He never been in the car with me. So it's a difference. So actually, y'all all grew up actually side by side together. Mama stayed next door, and y'all could put somebody like that in a Rico. But this case is just, it's I think it's just personal for me. So she's actually mad now. She's mad now because they're like the jury is seeing, and they actually like, hey, she don't want them to say, hey, they had nothing to do with whatever I did. I went out the club one night and I was mad and they jumped on me and I committed a crime. Oh, they're just saying they doing this individual. They did it on their own. So she's mad. They're telling you that, hey, I did this on my own. Why are you mad at? Why are you mad at this situation? You want to say, hey, they made me do it. I got jumped at the club and they made me go do this. Like, I don't understand. That's the whole thing. So the weekend, we're not gonna be able to find an attorney. He's gonna actually have to call back. We're gonna have to talk to him. It's not. We don't even know if they done already try to go in there. You know, they'll try to go in there, giving him some paperwork, or just go in there and try to talk to him before he can even speak on getting an attorney. So we don't know what he done been through already since he been in jail. Yes, we're trying to get him one to actually walk in. We're trying to retain one to actually be able to walk in the court with him. But Monday, it's going to be kind of hard because it's going to be short time. And so we have to find one Monday morning. That's going to be hard. So, and I looked at different countries. Like, they actually reform their inmates. Like, we just slaving them. Other countries reform them. They're not having them in inhumane cages with making them be cold half of the time. I don't heard guys say the water's not working. Can you call them and tell them the water's not working? We can't take a shower. We don't got nothing to drink. How we gonna make our noodles? Like, how do y'all expect these folks to eat and they gotta make their noodles in the shower with hot water?
She also told him if he plead the fifth, if he plead the fifth, she was gonna arrest him.
See, that's what she trying to do. He was a lay witness. She trying to upgrade his witness so she can try to arrest him. But see, you can't change that. You said I was a lay witness, so let me be that, and then I'm gonna plead the fifth, and then ain't nothing y'all can say or do because I already done did my time, my crime. Y'all they want to get him on the stand and play. He said, she said, nah, we ain't. Cause whatever. Like they said, whatever happened in the County Blues, they shouldn't even count no way because they know what's going on. They killing folks in the County Blues. What kind of deal?
They got him down there. Like, he still got pneumonia. I know he's in that cold air. He's not covered like he's supposed to. He don't have any medication. They can't. He's in there the whole weekend, so he really don't have nothing to eat, nothing, the right things to drink, like no vitamins. So it's really hard for us right now. So just going on there, he's not in a good mental space right now. He's not in a good health right now. He's not able to be on that stand for those days, being in that cold, being around all those people with his immune system. Like, he's not fit to be on that stand. Yeah, they probably got him under that nasty medical facility that's nasty, cold. Nobody in there know how to really be. I don't even think they got. I think they got staff and medical assistants in there that don't know what they doing. Don't know how to give people the right medications. It's not even on the medical floor. Like, they just won't move him for where he at. So he's taking. I don't know. That air is stinking there. If you in there, it stinks so bad in there. People coughing, people nasty, like with different issues. Like, it's hard.
Please tell the jury how well you know Quindarrius Zachary.
I've been knowing Quindarrius Zachary since he was a child.
How old as a child?
I don't recall. on that.
Fair enough. Do you recall generally about how old you were when you first met?
I was young too.
15, 16?
Yeah, right, probably around that age.
Okay. And did you all ever go to high school or anything like that together?
No, he from the same apartments I'm from.
Which are?
Capitol Home.
Are you older than, younger than, or the same age as Mr. Zachary?
I'm
Because
way,
the jury doesn't know.
I'm way older than Zachary.
All right. Do you know about how many years older?
No, I don't know exactly how old Zachary is.
Now, you being from the same apartments, what circumstances did you have to get to know someone that much younger than you?
I know his mother and his father.
Were you friends with Mr. Zachary's mother or his father? Either of them. Were you friends?
Me and his father not friends, but I know of him.
Okay. At some point, did you socialize with Quindarrius Zachary?
Yeah, he watched me grow up. He played basketball and stuff with me.
All right. Are you closer to him than his parents, or were you closer to his parents than him when you were growing up?
I say his parents.
All right. And which parent were you the closest to?
The father.
All right. Are you no longer close?
Well, I have a problem. I just don't see him. He just don't be where I be at.
All right. Tell us what happened in the drive-by shooting.
What you mean? Go into details of what happened?
Yes, sir.
Well, I never, like, at the club, Garlington got jumped on. Which, the Michigan Garlington, which didn't have anything to do with anyone else besides me and Garlington.
How do you know?
Huh? How did I know they had nothing to do with no one else?
Yes, and yes.
Because no one else was in the club with us, got their hands put on them.
Okay. So, who was it that put hands on Garlington?
I don't know. It was a group of guys. I didn't see no faces, none of that.
So, how are you able to tell the jury that it had nothing to do with anyone except you and Garlington when you can't say who put their hands on you?
Well, I can say what Garlington told me, but I can't tell you, do I know it's personally was those guys? Because there was a lot of them, but I can tell you what Garlington told me.
Were those guys part of a gang?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Well, I mean, it may or may not, to your personal knowledge.
Did you believe that those guys who put their hands on Garlington were a part of a gang? I asked him.
Rephrase your question.
To your knowledge, were the persons who put their hands on you, or on Garlington rather, excuse me, a part of a gang?
I don't know, because if they joined the game, I wasn't there when they joined the game.
If they joined a what now?
If they was part of a gang.
When you're saying gang, are you saying, spell what you're saying?
G-A-N-G. You said gang.
I did, thank you.
So if they was part of a gang, whenever they joined, I didn't eyewitness. So I don't know if they was or was they false claiming or what. I don't know.
Okay. So forgive me for interrupting. Please tell the jury what led up to the drive-by shooting. What happened?
Well, they jumped on Garlington in the club. I assisted Garlington, and then it went farther with us fighting. And then I don't know what happened on the outside. I don't know what happened on the outside, but then me, Garlington, and Zachary, we went and we did what we did.
Okay. Were you standing next to Garlington when he first got jumped?
No, he was coming back towards me.
Okay. And you said you didn't see the face of who jumped him.
I never really seen it. Somebody told me that they was jumping on Garlington.
Who told you?
People in the club. I can't give you a name because I don't know their name.
So what did you do?
I assist Garlington.
How did you assist Garlington?
I helped get him off Garlington.
As you were helping getting them off of him, did you recognize anybody that you were helping to get off of
It
it?
was abroad. No, there was so many people.
Okay. You said earlier that you didn't know whether these people were actually a part of a gang or if they were false claiming.
Right.
Do you know what gang they claimed to be a part of, if any?
Maybe ask another foundational question first.
Are you aware of whether these people that you pulled off of Garlington claimed to be a member of any particular gang?
You said, did they claim to be part of a gang?
Correct.
Overruled.
Actually, I can't really say what gang they claim.
Without saying what gang, at the time that you pulled these guys off of Garlington, did you believe that they belonged to any particular gang?
Overruled.
No.
Are you familiar with a person by the name of Kelvin Watts, who answers to the names Kel and Shell Kel?
I know of him, but I don't know him. He wasn't there though that night. I know that much.
Does Shell Kel, to your knowledge, belong to a particular gang?
Well, I heard that he was part of a gang.
Are you aware of whether he claims to be a part of that gang via his postings or anything else?
Yeah, a lot of people claim to be some they ain't.
Fair enough. What gang do you understand Shell Kel to be a part of?
What he claimed, 9 Deuce or something like that?
9 Deuce?
Yes.
Is that also If Gang or Inglewood Family?
From my understanding.
That's a yes?
Yes, from my understanding.
Okay.
I don't.
And is that gang, to your understanding, a blood gang? If he knows, Your Honor, I'm asking to his understanding, does he understand that gang to be a blood set?
Overruled.
Yes, I heard, but I don't know for sure. I heard.
Did you consider that gang a rival gang?
Please use your mic. Sorry.
A rival gang? No.
Did you state on December 28th, 2022, that you threatened to harm a person named Kel because of that person's association with a rival gang?
Yeah, but at the time I didn't know. At the time that the threat was made, I didn't know he was If Gang.
When did you learn he was If Gang?
Ooh. I know it was after that video.
Okay. Now we're talking about a video. What video are you referring to?
The video of me and Quindarrius. But it wasn't about no gang situation.
Okay. What did you do in the video?
I told him if he was looking for me, I had something for someone who was looking for me, who was not my friend.
And forgive me, you told him that if he was looking for you, what was that last part?
I had anything for anybody who's looking for me that's not my friend. He has no reason looking for me if he's not my friend.
Okay. And what did you have for him?
Whatever to do to protect myself.
Who else was in the video with you?
Quindarrius Zachary.
Is he the only person?
That's the only person I remember.
Toolbar.
Little strip ass nigga. We ain't really going back and forth no nigga. You little bitch ass nigga wanna see me? I'm everywhere. Yeah, fuck you nigga, champ. Whoever else, nigga. Well, nigga. Pop, nigga. Whoa. They said they ain't really going back.
Is that the video you're referring to?
Yes.
All right. Now, would you continue telling the jury what led to the drive-by shooting following Demikion Garlington getting jumped on at the club?
What led to it?
Yes, continue telling us what happened.
We left the club and we went over. Well, no, we didn't leave the club. I left the club and then Garlington called me to come back to get him because I left him at the club.
Did Garlington ride with you to the club?
No.
Do you know who Garlington went to the club with?
No, he was calling me all that day to ride me to the club, and I don't like people to ride to the club. I mean, I go to the club by myself. I might meet them there, but I always ride by myself.
Who all participated in the fight when Garlington got jumped?
Just me and Garlington. No one else was in the club with us.
All right. And so after, how did the fight end?
Security guard broke it up.
Okay. After the security guard broke it up, what did you do?
I stayed in the club. They put Garlington out the club.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
I was in the inside looking for Garlington's phone with security guard, and I guess security guard found the phone and he took it outside. And then eventually I got the females that I was with and we went outside.
And then what happened?
I pulled off. Garlington was talking, saying something, and I got in my car and pulled off. And by the time I got to the spreadway, Garlington called me back to come pick him up because he didn't have a ride.
What club were you all at?
Club Crucial.
And what day of the week was that?
It wasn't a Monday, so it had to be like a Saturday, something like that, if I am mistaken.
What did Garlington call you back for? Just to get a ride?
Yeah, at first just to get a ride, yes.
What then did it later turn into?
It later turned into a shoe.
Tell the jury how that happened.
I guess Garlington didn't want to let it go, and I was riding with Garlington. Which I probably wouldn't let it go neither, because another grown man ain't got no business putting his hand on no grown man.
So fill in the blanks and tell us, from the time that you went to pick up Garlington, what happened that led you to participate in a drive-by shooting?
I don't remember. I can't remember all the details that happened that night, but I just know it was a drive-by shooting. Well, it wasn't a drive-by shooting.
What
it
was
was a shooting. Cause I didn't see nobody shoot. If that makes sense.
Please explain.
I never seen them shoot. Cause I dropped them off and I kept going.
And then what happened?
I guess they did the shooting.
Did you drop them off at any one particular spot?
I don't know the name of the street.
Understood, but did you drop them off at any one particular spot?
I don't remember.
Did you take them to more than one spot?
Can you refresh my memory if you can?
Let me try this another way. Were you asked to take Demekion Garlington or anyone else in the car with you to more than one spot?
No, I remember taking Zachary, to his cousin's house somewhere.
So what happened at the spot that you said you dropped them off at?
I don't really remember, Ms. Love, but I know I pleaded guilty to it. I don't remember, but I know I pleaded guilty to it. I don't remember all the details, but I pleaded guilty to it.
Mr. Sledge, is a drive-by shooting or shooting something that stands out in your mind, or is it something that's just commonplace for you?
Could you repeat it?
Is a drive-by shooting something that stands out in your mind, or is it something that is just commonplace for you?
Could you break it down? Because I don't understand what you're saying. You saying, is it in my mind or is it just something I do?
Is it something that is worthy of remembering for you? A drive-by shooting?
No.
It's not something that's worthy of remembering?
No.
Okay. So it's not a big deal for you?
Not for me.
Was more than one house shot up after Demekion was jumped at the club?
Probably. I wasn't there. I probably was, I'm saying, but I didn't take him to more than one place.
Do you recall going to Adele Drive?
Where is that located?
Off of Martin Luther King in... I'll rephrase. Do you recall going to an area off of Martin Luther King called Adele Drive?
Yeah, I think that was one.
Do you recall going to a location on Drew Drive?
No, they lied. No, I don't recall going to Drive, but I know it was all in my plea agreement. I just thought it was best in my interest, so I pleaded guilty to it.
Okay. Did you ever talk about that shooting with Quindarrius Zachary or Demekion Garlington?
What you mean, that night?
At any time?
No, we didn't really talk about it.
Okay. When I asked you whether you threatened to harm Kelvin Watts because he was affiliated with a rival gang, did you say at the time you made the threat, you did not know he was If Gang. Did you say that?
Yes.
Why did you make an assertion about If Gang when I asked you about a rival gang?
Because it ain't, Ms. Love, it ain't like I don't know what y'all trying to put together. I know what you saying and I know what the state's saying, but that don't mean it got to be true.
Mr. Sledge, do you understand that I'm just asking you questions
And
so
I'm-
that you can speak to the jury?
And I answered it to the jury like,
You didn't answer the question. My only question to you was, why is it that when I asked you whether you threatened to harm Shell Kell because he was affiliated with a rival gang, you responded, at the time I made the threat, I didn't know he was If gang.
I said I didn't know he was 9 Deuce.
Object. That's a
Right.
misstatement of the
All right,
evidence.
Sustained. The witness corrected it.
Thank you. Why did you say that at the time you made the threat, you didn't know he was a member of that gang?
Because the state, this is what the state painted a picture that YSL, I'm answering the question if you're gonna let me answer. The way I know the answer. If you're not gonna let
Go
me
right
answer,
ahead, Mr.
then
Sledge. Go ahead.
because the state is painting a picture that YSL and 9 Do is the rival gang. So I know you saying it don't take a rocket science to figure that out.
Has anyone instructed you to come in here and talk about what picture the state is trying to paint?
No,
Has anyone instructed you just to be honest?
I'm being honest. You might think I'm not, but I'm telling you I'm being honest.
Okay.
I'm being honest as I can.
So irrespective of the picture that the state, in your opinion, is trying to paint, why did you bring up the name of that particular gang when I asked you about a rival gang?
It's also
Now it has been overruled.
It's also a misstatement, Your Honor. Miss Love brought up If gang.
Right.
Correct.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Ms. Love.
All right. How did Quindarrius Zachary get in the picture
What you mean?
as it relates to this drive-by shooting on April the 28th? How did Quindarrius Zachary get in the picture?
I don't know if Gunnington called him. I think Gunnington called him and told him he had got jumped on before I even made it back to Gunnington.
And so how did Quindarrius Zachary get with you all?
What you mean? We went and got him.
Okay. So after you picked up Garlington from Crucial, you all then drove somewhere else and picked up Zachary?
Right.
Where did you all pick him up from?
I don't remember.
Who was it that told you which house or houses to go to?
I don't know who told Gunnington.
No, who told you you were driving, right?
Yeah,
Wait.
Gunnington told me how to get there.
Okay.
Lord, they already have told you all this stuff. Well, you're right. You got to tell it to the jury. I'm sorry.
And you understand, I can't tell the jury.
Right. You're right.
Would you please tell the jury whether at the time you took Garlington to that house, you knew or believed that it was the home of a rival gang member?
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay. Did you see the guns did anyone have guns in the car at the time that you took Garlington to that house of the rival gang member?
We had guns. We rode with guns every day. Not one day, every day.
When you say we, who are you talking about?
Me, Gunnington, and Zachary then.
Okay.
Whenever we was together.
At the time that you were together, were Garlington and Zachary also members of YSL? Apologies.
Well, everybody probably assumed they was YSL, but I can't. Well, I heard them say YSL, put it like that. So I can't really actually say.
Was it your understanding at the time that you took them to that home of the rival gang member that both Garlington and Zachary were YSL?
I believe so, yeah.
How did Nine Deuce become a rival gang?
I have no idea.
Who was it a rival to?
You said, the state say YSL.
You're the only one that can give
Why?
testimony. So who was it a rival to with your understanding?
Well, from my understanding, it wasn't a rival with everyone who claimed YSL. It probably was certain people, not everyone.
So who was it a rival to? Who was this gang a rival to?
Me, Garlington, and Zachary at the time.
Okay. No one else.
Not that I know of.
Did you say on December 28th, 2022, that you and your fellow YSL associates committed the drive-by shooting on behalf of YSL and to increase the notoriety, reputation, and fear of YSL?
Again, that was some you stated and some I initiated. I most definitely initiated that.
Earlier, did I give, go ahead.
Because none of the stuff on the paper, I never approved none of it. I signed, but if you would have came to me and asked me that before, I would have told you it wasn't true.
Earlier, when we were talking about changes that you asked to be made, do you remember having an opportunity to look at the document that is labeled 444 Yankee?
To be honest with you, I didn't look at the whole document.
Okay. So if I give it back to you, will you look at each of the factual acknowledgments contained on the document?
I already told you, Ms. Love, I initiated on it.
That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, I can.
Do you need an opportunity to look back?
I can look back on it.
When you've had a chance to read each of them, would you just look up? Could you read each of the items under that section, please?
You just read them, Ms. Love.
Do you not want to read them?
No, I don't want to read.
Why don't you want to read them?
Because I don't want to read. I just answer to you.
Okay.
I don't want to read.
Having had the opportunity to look at the factual acknowledgments, what other factual acknowledgments besides the one you listed as 8 and 9 are you now saying aren't true?
Your Honor,
Yes.
that is a misstatement of the evidence. He said that 7 is not true as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. Earlier, did I ask you to identify which portions of the factual acknowledgement that you asked the state to change?
And I told you 8, 9, and I couldn't remember if I asked you to change 7, but I know 7 is false.
Okay.
That's what I told you.
If you understood that you could ask me to change 8 and 9, would you explain why you did not ask me to change any other ones?
I can't say, my Lord.
Did the state force you to sign this document?
I was forced. I feel like I was forced myself.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I feel like I was forced myself because I was going through something.
Explain what you're saying.
I was going through something with my mother being sick. I needed to get home to my mother. And if I went to trial, I couldn't afford Mr. Wright to go to trial.
Could you afford to ask Mr. Wright to make any further corrections to the document?
That Pacific day, Miss Love, I was just trying to get home to my sick mother.
Did you swear under oath that each of these statements that you initialed were true?
Maybe, I don't even remember. I can't say. If that what it say, yeah.
Did you lie under oath?
No, I didn't lie.
Well, explain to the jury how they should reconcile those two statements.
I really can't explain it to you, Ms. Love.
Did you sign a statement? Did you make a statement
I didn't. Go ahead.
That you have read and carefully reviewed the agreement that you were entering with the state, that you have reviewed and corrected where necessary for accuracy each statement contained in defendant's factual acknowledgments, and that you acknowledge the truth and accuracy of each and every statement listed therein, that you fully understand the agreement and have had an opportunity to discuss this agreement and each of its provisions with your attorney, Mr. Derek Wright. No promises other than those contained in the agreement have been made to you in furtherance of the agreement, and you freely, knowingly, and voluntarily enter into the agreement without force, threat, or coercion. Did you make that statement on December 28th, 2022?
I think so.
Okay. Was that statement true or false at the time that you made it?
I don't know, Ms. Love.
Why do you say you don't know?
I really don't. I just told you my intention was.
I understand. And my condolences for what you had to go through. But the jury needs to know whether that statement that you made was true or false. Would you please tell them?
I guess it was true if I made it, Ms. Love.
Why did you pause so long before answering?
I don't know.
Now, you were talking about having pled guilty to charges related to the drive-by shooting or to the shooting on April 28th, 2015.
I pleaded guilty.
Excuse me, Judge. At this time, can we get the instruction, please? That's the first question directly from the state.
Yes. Ms. Levis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear evidence that a co-defendant in this case has pled guilty to some of the charges in this indictment. I caution you that this co-defendant's guilty plea conviction itself is only admitted for a limited purpose. That guilty plea is an admission by this witness only that he committed the criminal acts to which he pled. You are not to consider the co-defendant witness's guilty plea as evidence that any other defendant is guilty of committing any of the criminal acts alleged against them in this indictment. Each defendant is entitled to have the issue of his guilt determined solely on the basis of the evidence against him and not on whether another person has been convicted of the same charges with which the defendant is accused. If you find that the co-defendant witness provided testimony on the stand that is inconsistent with his guilty plea admissions, you may consider the witness's prior inconsistent statement, that is, his guilty plea admissions, including to the allegations in the charges to which he pled guilty, as substantive evidence, which you may consider against any defendant currently on trial for whatever bearing it may have on the issues on trial.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Sledge, you mentioned pleading guilty to charges related to the April the 28th, 2015 shootings that you were just talking to the jury about. Do you recall that?
Yes.
All right. And when you pled guilty, did you do so in 2022 or did you do so in 2015 or 2017?
Obviously, I pleaded guilty 2017.
17. Thank you for that. So, at the time that you pled guilty in 2017 to the charges related to the April 28, 2015 shooting after Demekion Garlington was jumped, was there a factual basis given for that plea? Do you understand the question?
No, what you mean?
Okay.
I don't.
First, let me ask you, when you pled guilty in 2017, did you have an attorney?
Yes.
And is the attorney that you had then the same one that you have now?
Right.
And did you trust him then the way that you trust him now?
Right.
Right. And at the time you pled guilty, did the prosecutor tell the court that the evidence would show that on April 28, 2015, Mr. Garlington and Mr. Sledge were at a club called Club Crucial on Donnelly Hollowell Parkway earlier in the evening when members of, and preface this by saying Mr. Garlington, Mr. Sledge, and Mr. Zachary at this time were members of a gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, that at some point had been affiliated with the Blood Criminal Street Gang. There had been a falling out carrying from the fall of 2014 into 2015. This, for lack of a better term, gang war was going on at this time. Mr. Garlington was jumped at the club by members of a rival gang, Aaron Mills, Dominic Carter, and others that are members of a gang which is a subset of If Gang or Inglewood Family Bloods, which is a gang that the dispute was going on with at that time, when Mr. Garlington was jumped and assaulted at the club. A decision was made by Mr. Sledge. They called Mr. Zachary, the co-defendant, to retaliate in some way. The evidence will show that Mr. Sledge drove the vehicle. Mr. Garlington and Mr. Zachary were inside with weapons, and they first drove by Adele Avenue, 1428 Adele Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. And that location at the time is the home of Darren Mills and his mother and at least one of his sisters and one of his cousins, and is an address that Darren Mills actually used and stayed at. He was one of the individuals that had assaulted Mr. Garlington earlier at the club. Mr. Sledge drove by and they shot at the house. There were not individuals outside of the house, but the house was shot.
During the shooting of that house, Miss Denise Bell, who is the aunt of Darren Mills, while she was in her bed, sustained a gunshot to her buttocks and had to go to the hospital and had to have surgery. She was shot. The house was shot up, and there were other individuals there at the time, including Cecilia Davis and Diamond Mills. Diamond Mills being Darren Mills' sister. Also, the car belonged to Cecilia Davis, which was in front of the house and received damage. The evidence is that Mr. Sledge was the driver of the car. After that, Mr. Sledge drove over to 1903 Drew Drive, Northwest, an apartment there was at the time being used by Philip Collins, who is Darren Mills' brother, and also present at the club and participated in the assault. In shooting at what they believed to be Philip Collins' apartment, they damaged apartments 1122 and 1120. Natasha Battle's apartment, which was 1120, her patio doors, windows, and couch were damaged from the gunfire. Ms. Troutman's apartment was 1122, and that was the other apartment that was damaged. Through investigations, detectives got a lead that Mr. Garlington and Mr. Zachary were involved, and they conducted interviews.
Yes, sir.
I can pause there.
Okay.
Was that factual basis? Were those words read to the court by the prosecutor at the time you entered a guilty plea in 2017?
I don't remember, was it read by the prosecutor, because I took a blind plea. And I think the judge read off the evidence. I don't recall what it was, though.
Okay. Do you recall hearing those words read by somebody in court as the reason or the factual basis for the charges that were being brought?
If I could explain, I pleaded guilty because I felt like it was in my best interest. You had two co-defendants. Some of what they said was true, and some they said wasn't true. But I did plead guilty because I felt like it was in my best interest.
Were you given an opportunity to say anything at the time that you entered that plea? Were you given an opportunity to make any statements?
No, not that I remember.
Do you recall the judge, after those statements were read, asking you, is there anything you'd like to say before sentencing? Do you recall that happening?
Yes, I recall him asking me that.
Do you recall telling the judge, no, sir?
I remember telling him, thank him for the plea that he allowed. I remember that. I remember me telling him, thank him for the plea that he accepted on the non-negotiable plea, the blind plea or whatever it was.
Would you explain to the jury what your understanding of a blind plea is?
A blind plea, that I understood, that you leave the evidence up to the judge and the judge determine on the sentence.
At any time, did you tell the judge, I'm not admitting this, I'm just doing this because it's in my best interest?
Well, I didn't tell the judge that. I told my attorney that. When my attorney asked me, like, when he came to me with the plea deal, and I told him, I said, why I take the plea? Because it's best in my interest. You got two guys against one.
Hold on. At the time that you...
No, I didn't tell it to the judge.
That wasn't the question.
Oh.
At the time that you pled guilty, did you know what sentence the judge was going to give to you?
No.
Okay.
Not like no, I just knew it was
Did the judge, was it explained to you that you could receive up to the maximum sentence on each charge?
Not if I understand. I think a deal was already worked out, if I ain't mistaken. That what made me take it. I think it was already worked out between my attorney and the state.
Do you understand the difference between a negotiated plea and a blind plea?
No.
Okay. Have you done anything besides a blind plea in front of a judge before?
Yes, I think I have, yes.
And when you pled guilty on December 28th, 2022, was that a blind plea or something else?
I think it was just a plea. It wasn't a blind plea, though, if I'm not mistaken.
For a regular plea, what do you understand to be the terms? In other words, do you know your sentence before you plead guilty with a regular plea?
I don't know, because before the blind plea, I knew my plea.
Why did you then distinguish for the jury that it was a blind plea?
It was, but I already knew the sentence. My lawyer had already aware to me that they was offering the same thing. They was offering the co-defendants what they had pleaded guilty before me.
Okay.
So when I pleaded guilty, my lawyer aware me that they was offering the same plea deal that they gave them. But in my plea deal, I told my attorney that, like, I didn't want the probation. I just take the straight prison sentence.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right, outside the presence of the jury? Okay. Yes? Yes. Okay. I'm going to excuse y'all to the jury room. Your Honor, will the witness be excused? Yes.